What happens when a woman known for silence? Control and restraint is pushed slowly, deliberately by someone who mistakes volume for power. This is not a shouting match. This is not a meltdown. This is the story of how Angelina Jolie, sitting calmly under studio lights, was forced to decide whether dignity means staying or knowing exactly when to leave. What unfolded on The View would leave the room frozen, the audience divided, and one host suddenly unsure who had lost control. The studio looked peaceful. Warm golden lighting reflected off polished surfaces. Holiday decorations framed the background. Garlands, soft reds and greens, a postcard version of calm. The Hot Topics desk sat perfectly centered. Mugs-aligned papers stacked with deliberate precision. It was the kind of set designed to reassure viewers that everything here was civil, safe-controlled. Angelina Jolie noticed that immediately. She walked onto the stage without ceremony, dressed in dark, understated tones. No sparkle, no performance. Just presence. Her posture was relaxed. Her expression neutral, not cold. Not warm, observant. The applause came anyway long. Respectful Joy Behar watched her approach, with a tight smile that didn't quite mask anticipation. Whoopi Goldberg welcomed her first, voice steady, practiced. "Please welcome Angelina Jolie." Angelina nodded to the audience, sat crossed her legs slowly, and folded her hands in her lap. She looked exactly like someone who didn't need to feel silence. "Thank you for having me," she said. Her voice was calm, even controlled for the first few minutes. The conversation stayed where it was supposed to. A co-host asked about her latest film. Another mentioned her humanitarian work. Angelina answered carefully. Never long-winded, never evasive. She spoke about storytelling, about responsibility, about choosing projects that mattered to her. She didn't smile much. She didn't need to. Then Joy leaned forward. Not abruptly, not aggressively. Just enough to signal a shift. "So Angelina," Joy said, her tone light but sharpened at the edges. "You've worn a lot of hats over the years, actress. Director, activist, mother, ambassador." Angelina nodded once, yes. Joy tilted her head. "Do you ever feel like that overwhelms people?" "I mean, it's a lot." Angelina met her eyes calmly. "Life is a lot." A few quiet laughs from the audience. Joy smiled back, but it was thin. "I just wonder," she continued, "whether all that seriousness leaves room for honesty. You've built a reputation as someone who's above Hollywood, above the mess." Angelina didn't react. "I don't think I'm above anything," she replied. "I'm just selective." Joy tapped her pen lightly against her card. Selective is one word for it. The air shifted, not sharply but noticeably, like a pressure change before a storm. Whoopi glanced sideways, then forward again. Angelina remained still. "So let's talk about that." Joy said, "Your activism, your humanitarian work, it's admirable, obviously. But some critics say it borders on performative." Angelina blinked once slowly. "Critics are free to say what they like," she answered. "So am I." Joy chuckled. "Sure. But when you fly into conflict zones with cameras following, when every visit turns into headlines, it's fair to ask whether it's about impact or image." There it was. The first clean cut. Angelina didn't raise her eyebrows, didn't shift in her chair. She simply asked, "Is that a question or a conclusion?" A ripple went through the audience. Joy laughed lightly, waving a hand. "I'm just asking what everyone's thinking." Angelina tilted her head slightly. "That's usually what people say when they want to speak for others." Joy's smile tightened. "Well, then answer it," she said. "Is it about helping or being seen helping?" Angelina paused. Not because she didn't know what to say, but because she chose when to say it. "When people are suffering," Angelina replied calmly, "they don't ask whether the help is photogenic." The applause came faster this time. Joy leaned back, crossed her arms. "That's a convenient answer," she said, "but you must admit you've cultivated a certain image. The moral voice of Hollywood, the conscience." Angelina looked at her steadily. I didn't assign myself that role. Joy shrugged. Someone did. Angelina nodded, then they misunderstood. That answer landed heavier than it sounded. Joy leaned in again, sensing resistance and enjoying it. You speak often about responsibility. Joy said about ethics. About global injustice. But you're still part of an industry built on excess. Private jets, wealth, influence. Angelina's lips pressed together briefly. Not in anger, but consideration. Yes, she said. And that contradiction isn't lost on me. Joy raised an eyebrow, isn't it? Angelina met her gaze. I live with it. I don't deny it. The room went quiet. That wasn't the deflection Joy expected. So then Joy continued undeterred. How do you justify it, the privilege? The distance between the world you speak about and the one you live in? Angelina folded her hands more tightly. I don't justify it, she said. I acknowledge it and try to use it responsibly. Joy scoffed softly. That sounds rehearsed. Angelina's eyes sharpened, but her voice didn't know. She replied, it sounds practiced. There's a difference, Joy smiled again. Now openly challenging, you're very composed. She said, almost untouchable. Angelina tilted her head. I've learned when silence is more effective than performance. Joy laughed well. This is television. Silence doesn't always play well. Angelina looked at her unblinking. It plays fine, she said. When people are listening, that line hit. The co-host shifted one glance toward the cameras. Another took a breath like she wanted to jump in and didn't. Joy's pen stopped tapping. You know, Joy said slowly. Some people think you hide behind seriousness, that you avoid criticism by staying unreachable. Angelina didn't look away. I'm right here, Joy smiled. For now, Angelina leaned back, slightly calm as ever, and for the first time since the interview began. Joy Behar realized something unsettling. She wasn't rattling Angelina Jolie. She was only revealing how badly she wanted to. Joy adjusted in her seat, not dramatically. Not obviously, but the ease was gone. She glanced down at her cards, then back up. You've been in the public eye for decades. Joy said scandals, reinventions. Reinventions again. Some people feel they never really know who you are. Angelina didn't blink. That's probably true. She said. Joy looked surprised, really. Angelina nodded. Fame doesn't reveal people. It simplifies them. That's not knowing. That's labeling, the audience murmured. Joy exhaled through her nose. But when you choose to speak publicly, to lecture governments, to advocate globally, you invite scrutiny. Angelina leaned forward slightly for the first time. Not aggressively, intentionally. Advocacy isn't lecturing, she said. It's listening first, then speaking carefully. Joy shook her head. That sounds nice. But power always complicates intent. Angelina held her gaze. Yes. She replied, it does. Which is why it's dangerous to assume intent without evidence. The temperature dropped. Joy laughed. But there was no humor in it. You really are unshakable, aren't you? Angelina's voice remained level. No. Joy paused. I'm practiced. That single word landed harder than any insult. The applause came again, louder this time. But scattered, uncertain. Joy raised her hand slightly. Okay, she said. Let me ask this differently. She leaned back, regrouping. Do you ever worry that the audience sees you as untouchable? That your restraint comes off as distance? Angelina considered the question. Sometimes, she said. But distance is often safer than spectacle. Joy smiled sharply. Safer for who? Angelina didn't hesitate for the truth. Silence. Even the audience stopped reacting. Whoopi shifted in her chair. All right, she said gently. I think Joy cut in. No. I want to finish this, she said. eyes still on Angelina. Angelina nodded once, please. Joy inhaled. You talk about empathy, but empathy requires vulnerability. And I don't see much vulnerability here. Angelina's expression softened slightly. Not defensive, almost tired. Vulnerability doesn't always look like tears, she said. Sometimes it looks like restraint. In a room that wants spectacle, Joy's jaw tightened. So you're saying this environment is beneath you? Angelina looked genuinely surprised. No, she said. I'm saying conflict doesn't require cruelty. To be honest, that was it. The line Joy hadn't expected. Her smile disappeared completely. That's unfair, Joy said. Questioning power isn't cruelty. Angelina nodded, agreed. She paused. But insisting on provocation when clarity has already been given is something else. The room froze. Joy looked down, then back up, color rising in her face. You know what she said abruptly? Pushing her chair back slightly. I'm not interested in being framed as cruel for doing my job. Angelina didn't move. I didn't say you were cruel. She replied, I said the approach was. Joy stood not theatrically. Not slowly, decisively. I think we're done here, she said. Unclipping her microphone, this conversation isn't productive. The audience gasped. Angelina looked up at her, calm, composed. I'm still listening, she said quietly. Joy shook her head no. You're controlling the room with silence, and I'm not playing that game. She turned and walked off the set. The cameras hesitated, unsure whether to follow. Angelina remained seated, hands folded. Expression unchanged. Whoopi stared after Joy, then back at Angelina. Well, she said carefully, we're going to take a break. The screen faded, and in that moment, it became clear no voices had been raised. No insults thrown, no meltdown captured. But control had shifted, and everyone watching knew exactly when it happened. When the cameras returned, the atmosphere had shifted. The empty chair said more than any statement could. What be? Cleared her throat. We're back, she said slowly, and as you can see, things took an unexpected turn. She glanced briefly toward the exit Joy had taken. Angelina remained still, hands folded, posture unchanged, not triumphant. Not rattled, just present. Sunny leaned forward. I want to acknowledge something, she said carefully. This conversation touched nerves because it matters. Angelina nodded. Once it does, she replied. Alyssa spoke next. Her tone measured. Do you regret anything you said? Angelina considered the question longer this time. I regret that it reached a breaking point, she said, but I don't regret choosing restraint over escalation. Whoopi watched her closely. Some people are going to say you provoke that by staying calm. Angelina met her eyes. Calm isn't provocation. She said it's a boundary. The audience applauded, not loudly, but unanimously. Sunny exhaled. That takes discipline. It takes practice, Angelina replied. A producer off camera shifted, the tension still thick in the air. Whoopi leaned back. Let me ask you this, she said, when conversations get this intense. Do you ever wish you just walk away? Angelina shook her head. No, she said. Walking away should be intentional, not reactive. There it was. The contrast, one exit born from emotion. One presence rooted in control. Whoopi nodded slowly. Fair enough. The camera cut briefly to the empty chair again, then back to Angelina. Final thought. Whoopi said, for people watching this right now. Angelina turned slightly toward the main camera. Disagreement doesn't have to dehumanize, she said, and strength doesn't need volume to be heard. Silence followed, not awkward, not uncomfortable. Respectful. Whoopi placed her hands on the table. We're going to end it there. The credits rolled, but online. The conversation was just beginning. Clips spread, pauses replayed. Frames dissected not because of shouting but because of composure. And somewhere between a raised voice and a quiet response, viewers realize something unsettling. Sometimes, the loudest moment on television is the one where no one interrupts. You stayed until the end of this moment. You already know this wasn't about winning an argument. It was about control. About what happens when power expects noise and meets restraint. Instead, Angelina Jolie didn't dominate the room. She didn't out-talk anyone. She didn't raise her voice. She simply refused to participate in something that no longer deserved her presence, and that refusal changed everything. Because sometimes the most uncomfortable truth on live television isn't spoken. It's revealed if you believe strength doesn't have to shout. If you believe boundaries matter more than applause. And if you think moments like this deserve to be remembered, hit like, subscribe for more real-time power shifts, where control changes hands without warning. And tell us in the comments, was walking away the strongest move? Or should she have stayed and finished the conversation? Sometimes silence answers better than words. And sometimes leaving is the loudest thing you can do.